scary to hear a doctor say she didn't know what to do. Hi peoples, welcome back to my channel, Bernie Playing with Makeup. My name is Bernadette. All my friends and subscribers call me Bernie. So if this is your first time or you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your support. From the title, you can already see this video is going to be different. We're not going to be playing with makeup today. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I've kind of been on the fence as to whether I would do it or I wouldn't do it. First, the video may be a little bit long. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. Maybe grab a snack. I want you guys to please try to get through the whole video. I realized that throughout my videos ever since I started my channel, I have hinted about my medical condition, but I've never really talked about it at all. And so today I wanted to share what my medical condition is and my journey to diagnosis and what my daily life is. I'm doing this not because I'm looking for self-pity, but more because I want to bring awareness to the disease. The disease that I have is Crohn's disease. I'll give you a bit more information about that in a second. And the reason why I want to bring awareness to it is it's a disease that is very little known. Whenever I say I have Crohn's disease, especially here in the Bahamas, people look at me like I'm an alien, like what is Crohn's disease? I've even had a doctor, believe it or not, here in Freeport at the public hospital, the Round Memorial Hospital, a few years back when I was in a real flare-up, painful flare-up. She actually told my husband she didn't know what to do for Crohn's disease. Yes, that actually happened. I have my notes broken down into the different stages of how my first flare-up, how I got diagnosed and all of that. I'll start off though by telling you a little bit about Crohn's disease. I went on the Mayo Clinic's website and pulled some information from there. According to the Mayo Clinic's website, Crohn's disease is an inflammatory bowel disease. In the IBD, there are two main diseases, or two well-known diseases: Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. It goes on to say that Crohn's disease causes inflammation of the digestive tract, which can lead to abdominal pain, severe diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss, malnutrition. Inflammation caused by Crohn's disease can involve different areas of the digestive tract in different people. The inflammation caused by Crohn's disease often spreads deep into the layers of the affected bowel tissue. Crohn's disease can be both painful and debilitating, and sometimes can lead to life-threatening complications. I'll tell you a bit more about my Crohn's. Crohn's disease, it can affect any part of the digestive tract from the mouth goes down. In my case, it's been predominantly in my colon. Many of the symptoms that I've just read off from the Mayo Clinic, I have experienced. It is believed that I had my first flare-up in 1998. 1998, I got really sick, and I spent about 2 months at the hospital here in the Bahamas, in Grand Bahama at the Round Memorial Hospital. Autoimmune diseases tend to behave alike, unfortunately, and so that makes them harder to diagnose. It was thought that I had sickle cell. A lot of the symptoms that I was displaying, you can also have if you have sickle cell. So I was having a high fever and I was having joint pain. So the doctors felt that I was having a bony crisis. That is something that people who have sickle cell have. Unfortunately, they were ignoring the other symptoms, the main one being bloody diarrhea. They had like tunnel vision on sickle cell. So any other symptoms that was going on, they were ignoring them. So I wound up being in the hospital for about 2 months. The fever was unrelenting. I had a fever like every single day, a really high one. I remember it would get so high at times that at least twice I went into an ice bath. I don't know how they do it here anymore since I don't see medical attention in the Bahamas currently, But back then, they would put you in like a bathtub and then put ice on you to cool you down. The concern is brain damage if, they don't bring the temperature down. I remember at least twice during my hospital stay, I remember having to go through that. But the fever still wouldn't go down, and I was on powerful IV antibiotics, but the fever was still not going down, and that was their biggest concern. They were unable to explain or understand why even with these powerful antibiotics, the fever was unrelenting. So I couldn't be released from the hospital until the fever went down. Eventually what happened was a nurse kind of pulled my mom to the side, and she said, listen, these doctors are on their medical stuff, but if you try this, and it was something called Cerasee, but here we pronounce it locally as Cerasee. Cerasee is like a herbal medicine. It grows mostly in the bushes, sometimes on fences. It's like a vine. And here in the Bahamas and in other Caribbean islands, it's believed that Cerasee can cure anything from the common cold to fever to headache to just about anything. You boil it and then you drink it like tea. So the nurse was like, sneaking some Cerasee, and she would get it to me. And when we did that, and after about 2 days of drinking that, the fever broke. Surprisingly, so Cerasee apparently can heal stuff, right? Because the fever broke. So anyway, after that, because like I said, that was their main concern. My joints were still swollen, but their main concern was the fever, and the other symptoms they were just ignoring. So once the fever broke, I remember the doctor about maybe 3 days after the fever broke. I remember the doctor saying that he was ready to release me. I was so excited that I was finally going home after being in hospital for 2 months. I kind of like flew out of my bed just from being excited. And this doctor was like, angrily, get back into bed. You are very, very sick. You're very, very sick. If you are still alive for Christmas, this was in August of '98. He said, if you are still alive by Christmas, I'll be very surprised. So he was pretty much sending me home to die. And I was like, okay. Interestingly enough, on Christmas Eve of '98, that same doctor that sent me home to die before Christmas, he suffered a massive heart attack and died. So he might have been predicting his death, but not mine. I left the hospital undiagnosed. From there on, I struggled with the symptoms of Crohn's disease. I would eat something and I would have, the intestinal symptoms. I would have night sweats from high fever. I just didn't know what was wrong with me. Eventually, I just learned to live with whatever it was. If I ate this and I had a bad reaction, I would just stop eating that. I just learned to live with it. So fast forward 10 years later, I had an unrelated surgery in the United States, and I had some complications from that surgery. At that point, everything had gone wrong. My vital organs were shutting down. I was really, really sick. As they were doing their scans, they noticed something was going on with my intestines. But I was too sick for them to really pursue that. Their concern was trying to, keep my heart and kidneys from failing. I told my husband that something was going on in my digestive tract. They was going to have to do a colonoscopy, but I was too sick to do it. During the surgery that I had, they had issues waking me up. So they were concerned about putting me back under so quickly for a colonoscopy. In fact, they were so concerned. I was collecting fluids from the surgery, and they were so concerned that to drill the hole to start to drain the fluids, they did that with local. I was able to hear everything. I smelled everything. Yeah. A couple of days after I got out of the ICU, which I believe might have been maybe 7-8 days later, they scheduled the colonoscopy. The prep is I mean, now it's easy, you know, if you're a crony prepping for a colonoscopy, it's like, yeah, whatever. But the prep was, after I did my colonoscopy, it was confirmed that I had Crohn's disease. My Crohn's disease behaves like ulcerative colitis. The two diseases are different, but they behave a lot alike. The main difference between them is that ulcerative colitis is mostly in the colon, whereas Crohn's disease is anywhere within the digestive tract. My Crohn's, like I said, behaves a lot like ulcerative colitis. During my unrelated surgery, the surgeon had noted something that helped them to understand that I didn't have ulcerative colitis, that I had Crohn's, because that particular symptom I would not have had if I didn't have Crohn's. That helped them to diagnose Crohn's disease. So finally, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I had a friend as a child whose parent had Crohn's disease, but they never really talked about it. I just knew that one of her parents had Crohn's disease and was in and out of the hospital, but I didn't know anything about it other than that. So of course I started researching on it. I left the hospital. They gave me Asacol and antibiotics. The Asacol was like this huge bottle. I had to take like 9 tablets a day. It was crazy. But still, I kind of felt like, okay, now I know what's wrong with me. I'm on meds. I should be fine. And I was. You know, I would have occasional flare-ups. When you have a flare-up, you use prednisone. It's a synthetic steroid. And the way it works is they do what they call a taper down. So they put you on 40 milligrams of prednisone a day. And then you're going to be doing, over a 2-week period, you're going to be doing a taper down. So for maybe the first week, you're on 40, and then 30. And then after that, a couple of days later, you're down to 20, until you eventually wean down to 5, and then you're done. By that time, the flare-up should be back under control. So for years, that is how I lived with Crohn's. I remember this day, like, I don't think I'll forget this day. Everything was going fine in my life. We had just moved into our new home. I was loving my job. I was working as a financial controller at a company that was the largest of its size in the country. I was back in school pursuing a master's degree in political science. I'm an accountant, but I was considering switching my career with possibly moving to the States. I love American politics. That's why I wanted a degree in political science. And I was working on the biggest project of my career. My husband worked shifts. During this period, I was so busy, we were barely seeing each other. He was leaving home as I was coming home. Even when we were home together, I was working on the project. On September 12th, it was a Saturday, and he was insistent that we go out, that we go out for a date night, we spend some time together. So I was like, okay, fine. When you have Crohn's disease and you're about to get a flare-up, the scent of food is nauseating. Like you just can't stomach it. As we were pulling up in the parking lot, I remember I smelled the food, just the scent of it. I didn't want to say anything to him because I know he really wanted to go out. But the closer we got to the restaurant, the more nauseating I started to feel. After sitting down and ordering drinks, I think we'd already put our order in. My stomach tends to give me like a 30-minute warning with Crohn's. And it's like, listen, lady, I told you 30 minutes ago. And so if you didn't get your buying at home, that's on you. So I'm like, babe, we gotta go. Once I got home, I could tell that I'm in a flare-up. So I was like, okay, fine. No biggie. It's Saturday. Stay in bed tomorrow, work from bed, and then on Monday you go see the doctor. It's gonna give you your prednisone, a couple of days off. You're gonna work from home, and by Thursday, Friday, you'll be back to work. Keep it pushing. That's what I thought. So I went to the doctor, gave me my antibiotics, gave me my taper down prednisone, and I'm thinking, okay, cool. A week goes by, and my symptoms are getting worse. So I go back, and he's like, okay, we're gonna up it. Instead of starting with 40, we're gonna do 60. good. We're gonna keep you on it for a little bit longer. I'm like, okay. I'm still working, I'm still in school, still trying to keep my normal life. Before I know it, 2 weeks turns into 3, 4 weeks, a month and a half. I'm still trying to keep my normal life, but I'm getting sicker and sicker. And then Black Friday weekend, I decided to take some time off from work. So I wanted to go to Florida. I had never done the Black Friday thing, so I wanted to go to Florida to check that out. When we got there, I started to get really, really sick. I mean, like, I had a fever out of this world, started to get really weak, fatigued, we just got to the point where I just couldn't do it. So went to the ER. Even then, I'm on my tablet. For the first time since the flare-up started, I got some pain meds. So that was the first time in 2 months that I was not in pain. I have to do a CAT scan, so I'm drinking this key thing. And I'm still thinking, you're fine. Don't worry about it, you're fine. They're gonna give you something else or something that you don't have in the Bahamas, and you're fine, okay? You're fine. The ER doc, after the CAT scan, he comes back and you can kind of tell on his face, you ain't going home today, sweetheart. He goes, your colon is really inflamed. You're not going home. You're gonna be admitted. I was like, okay. So I told my husband, after I was admitted, can you bring my laptop for me, please? Listen, when it comes to work, and if I have a responsibility, I can't think past that, okay? I have a responsibility. Y'all know I always forget to start recording. Y'all see me doing this. I don't have the timer. If I have a project, if I have a commitment, that's what my mind on. So I told my husband, tomorrow morning when you come back, bring my laptop for me, please. I can, try to work whilst I'm here. They did some tests overnight, and I guess they didn't like what they saw. When you have Crohn's disease and you go to the hospital, they make you MPO. For people who don't know, MPO means no food, no water, nothing through the mouth. I was thinking I was gonna come off of MPO by the next day. When I asked the nurse, she was like, no, you're having a colonoscopy. I'm like, I didn't do a prep for a colonoscopy, but I hadn't been eating for days. And with the solution they gave me for the CAT scan, apparently they had determined that I didn't need to do the prep. When they tried to do the colonoscopy, that's when they realized just how inflamed and how many strictures I had. Strictures are narrowing of the digestive tract. So what happens when you have Crohn's disease is your body believes, just like all autoimmune disease, your body, the immune system makes up in its head, I'm going to try to do it in layman's term. It makes up in its head a fictitious bacteria, and it is trying to fight that. So it's continuously attacking itself because this bacteria does not exist, but your immune system is trying to kill it. So it's always fighting it. And in the digestive tract, when that happens, it causes it to become inflamed. And when it's inflamed, it gets narrow. What happens whenever they get the flare-up under control, the narrowing does not open back up. It stays that size. And then when you get a next flare-up, narrowing starts again, so it gets a bit smaller. They get that flare-up under control, that stays that size, then another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and eventually you could find where it's totally closed. What was happening with me was I had like severe strictures, so it was very difficult for them to even do the colonoscopy. Even when they came back and they told us that, in my head I was like, okay, so fix it. All right, fix it. What's the name of the medication? And they changed my meds. I was like, okay, cool. Decided to work from home for a couple of days. Didn't get any better. Got really sick. Started vomiting blood. My husband rushed me back to the States. That's when I started to realize, okay, this is not just a regular flare-up. I am seriously sick. This was December 2012. So now they're asking me to do surgery to remove the disease part of my digestive tract, of my colon, because it's not looking good. and I didn't want to do it. I went on a cocktail. Y'all see the commercials for Humira, Semcia, and Stelara? You know, you see the pretty commercials they do for Crohn's disease? The Humira ones I hate especially. You know how they do them and they have it like, your family's looking so disappointed because you had to go. And then, oh, you took Humira and now you're all better. When you go on Humira or any biologics, that's what they're called. That's what they come under, biologics. When you go on any of them, your immune system is compromised. Remember I said that Crohn's disease is an overactive immune system? The way to get it under control is basically to shut your immune system down. That is what biologics like Humira, Semcia, Stelara, Remicade, and all the rest of them that you see on TV, that they advertise like candy, that's what they do. Because that is what's gonna get your immune system to stop attacking itself. In, I wanna say 2017 or 2018, I got a cold. I wound up in ICU with pneumonia because I couldn't fight it. They keep advertising the candy, they're not candy. I remember when my brother first found that I had to go on, and he was scared, but I didn't have an option. I didn't want to have this surgery, so I went on a cocktail of drugs. It was Humira, prednisone, and 6-MP. I'm not someone who ever gets a prescription from the doctor and then take it. I go back to the Google machine and I Google it. And what I found that it said was, don't take those three drugs, do not take those three drugs together. So naturally I called the doctor and I'm like, excuse me, sir, but the Google machine said I shouldn't take these together. So he said, you have our hands tied. You saying you don't want surgery. I took meds. I had to get, like, every week, I believe it was, I had to go and get blood drawn here in the Bahamas, and then they would send the blood to the States, to my doctor, for them to analyze it. After, I think it might have been 3 months, my bone marrow started to shut down from the cocktail, so I had to stop it. They had warned me of the dangerous side effects. So that's when I had stopped it, and that's when I wound up at the RAN from a bad, painful flare-up. And then the doctor, I mean, to her credit, rather than trying to experiment on me, it was scary to hear a doctor say she didn't know what to do. I was in pain, and I was like in gut-wrenching pain, so I was screaming. And when she said that, I started screaming. It wasn't because the pain got worse. I started screaming because I realized I was about to die. I was like, did this doctor just say that? But thankfully, my husband, and I used to be annoyed about this, but my husband would, like when we go to the States, especially if we're in the ER, he'd be asking, the doctors would be doing their work, and he'd be asking them what that is. What you doing that for? And I'd be like, dude, leave the doctors alone. But thankfully, he did that. So when she said she didn't know what to do, he instantly became the doctor. He was like, do this, do that, give her this, do that. And it was like, and she was doing it. She was doing it. My husband is a pilot, not a doctor. But he paid attention to stuff like that. He would drill the doctors in the States. Every time they come in with something, he'd be like, what is that? What is it for? Would you say its name? Stuff like that. And I'd be like, dude, they know what they're doing. But like, thankfully, he did that. Because like I said, she said that, and I started screaming more, and he didn't panic. He was like, boom, I'm the doctor. I ain't Captain Johnson. I ain't Captain Johnson right now. I'm Dr. Johnson. And he took over. Finally, after that, because the fear was, because of the stricture, I could have gotten a perforation, which is a hole in the colon. You don't want that. You don't want that. So after that experience, I realized if I don't have the surgery, and Lord help me, I get a perforation whilst I'm at home, I'm gonna die. My first surgery. Surgery was scheduled to be 4 hours. Surgery took 8 hours. My husband told me. I didn't tell him why the surgery took so long, but that's how long the surgery took. It took 8 hours. I woke up, I felt like, okay, I'm gonna be able to get my life back. back up a little bit. In between surgery, because I was such a workaholic, I worked. I did finish off the project that I was working on. I finished it off, but work had become so stressful. Unfortunately, it was toxic. I'm telling my truth. Because of the position that I held, it's amazing because now the same people, they want me back. I wasn't liked. And there was a point where, whilst I was required to wear a surgical mask for my own protection, I was working from home. I wanted to go back into the office and work a couple hours at work. So my boss, who owns the company, had sent out a memo letting, because everyone knew I was sick, letting them know I'd be coming back into work. And whilst I'm back at work, if anyone had a flu or their kid had a flu, that they could take the day off with pay because I would be back in the office. And strangely enough, these people would come to work deliberately if they were sick. They were offended by me wearing a mask. They felt as if I was somehow saying that they had something. They would come to work, deliberately come to work, knowing that they were sick, when they had the option of no stick slip required, no explanation required, simply, I can't come to work today because my child's sick, my child got the cold. So work had become toxic. So I decided to leave, to resign. But, just until I got better, and then I would enter back into the work field. I'm a CPA, so, not to sound arrogant or anything, but I'm a CPA, so finding work wasn't going to be a big deal. I went into surgery thinking once I have surgery, I'll get better. And I woke up, the surgeon told me they got all of the Crohn's parts out. So I was like, good, thanks. Spent 5 days in the hospital. Came out of the hospital. In 24 hours, I woke up, I was having gut-wrenching pain. I've had Crohn's disease for a long time, as I stated. I know what Crohn's pain feels like. I've had surgeries. I know what post-op pain feels like. And I woke up early, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I woke my husband up and I was like, babe, something is wrong. And it is not Crohn's, it's not post-op, something is wrong. I'm in a lot of pain. And I was spiking a fever. After your surgery, they always tell you if you're spiking fever, go back to the hospital. So you went back to the hospital. One thing, this is documented. Doctors don't tend to listen when a female tells them she's in pain. They don't listen. They listen even less when that female is black. I was telling them that, listen, this pain is not post-op and it is not Crohn's. I've lived with Crohn's now for years. I know, yes, Crohn's pain, I know. Post-op pain, this is not my first surgery, this is not post-op. Because of the fever, they say, okay, we're gonna admit her. Naturally, you're in the hospital, so they're gonna give you strong pain medication. So they gave me those, but they wasn't addressing what was the cause of my pain. At one point, they said that it might have been a gynecological problem. So they brought my gynecologist in. He did an ultrasound. He said, Bernadette, that's not what's going on. And I was like, I know. I told him that, and I know. After a couple of days, they discharged me and sent me home with pain medication. A month later, I started feeling problems that were Crohn's related. A month later, they said that I would have like 5 to 10 years. I had to have surgery September 21st. I had surgery again for stricture. They couldn't do a full surgery because the muscles around where they did the first surgery wasn't healed yet. So they did like a temporary relief surgery. Then I had to have surgery in November. I had double surgery. During this period, I'm still struggling with this pain that's going on. I'm in and out of the hospital in pain. I'm bedridden from pain. Not Crohn's pain, not post-op pain, but pelvic pain that feels like nothing I've ever felt before. And my surgeon is not listening to me. He's not entertaining the idea, the possibility that the pain that I'm having has something to do with what happened during surgery. Remember I said the surgery was supposed to be 4 hours, but the surgery lasted 8 hours. He's not entertaining that. So they said there's fluids in your fallopian tubes, in one of them. So when I was having a double surgery, when my gynecologist came in, I looked at him and he was like, I was like, take both out, just in case, just take both of them out. As soon as the anesthesia wore off, I called him to tell him I was still in pain. He said, I know. He said, because your fallopian tubes had a little bit of fluid, but it was not that much. So that's November. So between August and November, I had 5 surgeries. And I'm like, damn, the original surgery was supposed to be the difficult part of this. This was supposed to be finished. Finally, I got diagnosed because my doctor, my gynecologist, who's my primary, it was almost as if my surgeon wasn't believing my pain. And he was more than happy to just keep giving me strong pain medication. I don't want to say the names because I don't want YouTube to come after me. But it was strong medication, strong pain medications that you can't get easy. He was fine just loading me up with them. Even when I would express my concerns about them, he's like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. So now it's December 31st, I'm in the hospital. I'm a patient this time. We believe however you start the year off, that's how you can spend it. I just finished spending the whole of 2013, from 2012 to 2013, messing around with y'all. I ain't gonna be in this hospital come 2014, Jack. I hunt him down on his social media to make sure he discharged me. I think it was like 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve that I was discharged. Because I was like, I ain't been up in here on 2014. No, I hadn't discharged. So I was discharged, not because I was feeling better, but it was because I was, listen, in a Haitian household, everything gotta be right on New Year's Eve, because however the first find you, that's how you're gonna be for the whole year. I don't believe that. I know it ain't true, but it's in my psyche, okay? Yeah. It ain't make no sense, but they program you to know why to get out of the hospital. But 2014 comes in and I'm still in and out of the hospital. Like I started to say, it was almost as if my surgeon didn't believe the pain, but he was fine loading me up with medication for it. Finally, my primary, he always believed the pain because we had history. So he's like, this could be, you could have suffered nerve damage during that surgery. The way it worked at that hospital, I got issues, okay, y'all? I got issues. There's a lot of stuff wrong with me. We may talk about some of that, but I got issues, okay? So whenever I'm going in, I have a team. I'm scheduled to see everybody over 1 day or over 2 days. And they would get together and discuss the plan for me. So I was told by my primary that in the meeting, he brought up the fact that this could be nerve damage. And of course, the surgeon, fearing he was going to be held responsible, he vehemently denied that the possibility. The test to find out if it's pain, if nerve is very simple. My primary set off the books. We're gonna do the test. He did it. Within 4 hours, he confirmed that it was nerve damage, that I suffered catastrophic nerve damage during that surgery. That was 9 months later. Finally, when presented with the evidence that yes, this is nerve damage, my surgeon brought in pain management. So right out of the gate, we were told that the way nerve damage works, you have to start treating it right away, or it sets in. The pain works. You could have an injury. If you don't treat it, the brain kind of gets used to it almost. And even if the injury is treated and the injury is healed, the brain don't always register that. So you can still be feeling the pain, the sensors in your brain, even though that pain is healed, the senses are still getting that. So it's important, if you have nerve damage especially, treatment of it starts early. He told us it's been 9 months. I will do my best to try to get this pain to a level to where you're going to be able to cope with it. But the likelihood of me being able to get this pain to where it is totally gone is slim. So naturally, I was devastated, because now I have Crohn's, and now I have another pain I gotta live with for the rest of my life. Damn, who did I piss off? After trying some high-tech stuff over the next 6 months and them not working, eventually he told me I was crazy. I remember that day. I remember he had me hook up to some stuff, and he would ask me periodically. At first, it did feel like the pain was being lessened, and then after that, it didn't. So I told him, it doesn't feel, I'm still in pain. And he said, well, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. He's not strong. You shouldn't be in pain. But I am in pain. So he said, well, you need to see a psychiatrist. I'm like, what? I just started taking the stuff off. I left out there a mess. I was crying, and I told Eddie, he was like, what happened? I said, apparently I'm crazy and I'm not in pain. The pain is in my head. And I refused to take my pain meds. I refused to take them because I'm like, if it's in my head, and if I just need to just keep telling myself it's in my head, it's not real, it's gonna go away, it's gonna go away. Worst thing I could have done. I would learn that later. Worst thing I could have done. Over the next couple of months, the next few months, I couldn't get out of bed. I was just in so much pain. After being in pain for so long, I don't think I was, but I prayed to die. I would be disappointed to wake up. You go to sleep in pain, you wake up in pain. You're in it all day. It doesn't give you a break. It's unrelenting. You pray, God, Jehovah, please let this pain stop. And it doesn't. Every moment I wake up, I would be disappointed. I really would be. I would spend time on the internet trying to find pelvic pain doctors. Once they heard Crohn's, that was it. It's Crohn's. I would not get an opportunity to explain to them that no, it's not from Crohn's. Back up. After the doctor told me I was crazy, I fired him. I told them he can't be on my team. So they removed him off the team, and pain management was taken away from my US doctors, and I found pain management here in Grand Bahama. I can tell you, there are good doctors here. You just have to find them. I remember talking to someone who had a relative who had chronic pain, and he was telling me that his relative, she had traveled all over the world trying to get relief, and she saw Dr. Burton. Dr. Burton was able to help her. So after Dr. High Strong told me that I was crazy, and after days of Eddie convincing me, you're not crazy, I went and I saw him. And I'll never forget. When you have pain and the doctors you're seeing don't believe you, or they make you feel like you're crazy, and you are already under a lot of stress from the pain, the worst thing you could go through when you are in pain, and you know you're in pain, is dealing with doctors who don't believe that you're in pain. That could cause you to lose all hope. I remember my first appointment with Dr. Burton. After going through my history and letting him know how the pain started and everything. I'll never forget him telling me, I believe you're in pain. I know you're in pain. And that we're gonna figure it out. It may take a while, but eventually we'll figure it out. I left his office not with a diagnosis, but I left his office knowing that I have a doctor who believed me. At the time, and even now, that meant more than any diagnosis. Just knowing the doctor believed that I was in pain. From that visit, we learned the difference between pain medicine and painkillers. And so I went on pain medicine as well as the painkillers I was already on. So pain medicine work, how I said that you can have an injury and the injury can be healed, but your brain can still think that that injury is there and you can still feel the pain from it. Pain medicine works by making your brain, it works the opposite. It works by trying to trick your brain, again, to just simplify it, to trick your brain into thinking the injury has been healed. So I left with pain medicine. I'll put the names of them on the screen because I take a lot. I was still in pain. I spent most of 2014, 2015 looking for a pelvic pain specialist. And as I said before, once they heard Crohn's, they was like, no, that's Crohn's. Finally, I found a pelvic pain specialist in Philadelphia. But when I called, he was about to go on vacation for like a month. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I literally started crying. The nurse put me on hold, and then she said, he can see you, but you have to get here this weekend. We flew to Philadelphia, drove 2 hours in the snow to go to see this doctor. The hospital that I go to in the States, this is one of the best hospitals in the States, top 10. And so you're used to all of these high-tech machines, computers, and all of that stuff. And when we pull up at this doctor's office, it's none of that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Dr. Philip. Okay. It was a 3-day visit, and he confirmed that I had severe nerve damage and diagnosed me with another condition that is also painful. You think my body like me? What you think? What you think? Starting to get that feeling to that my body don't like me. That was a turning point for me with the pain that I live with every day. He also confirmed that because of the amount of time that had passed, that I would be in pain for the rest of my life. I'm in pain every day. Every time you see me, I'm filming a video, I'm in pain. There's not a day when I'm not in pain. That doctor, he worked with Dr. Burton. They came up with a regimen. I get nerve blocks every 2 weeks. That helps the pain. But I'm in pain all of the time. I've learned to live with it. But Crohn's could be jealous. She like attention. Nerve pain ain't taken away from her attention. Late 2018, I started having real problems with Crohn's again. Listen, you know how Crohn's is doing. Like I said, I live with pain every day from the nerve damage, right? We cope. I get my meds, I take my meds, and we cope. Sometimes it's be really bad. Sometimes it's bad to the point to where I'm in bed all day. You know, we have our bad days. It's just the hand I've been dealt. But Crohn's be like this. Crohn's be like, you ain't know nothing but torturing people. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Sit down, let me show you how to. She ain't crying. She ain't crying. She's on the floor. You hear her screaming? She ain't screaming. So sit down, let me show you all how this is done. I told y'all don't know nothing about causing pain. When Crohn's pain comes, I know it's Crohn's when Crohn's pain comes, because I'm gonna be screaming when the Crohn's pain comes. When Crohn's pain comes, if you have Crohn's, you know. In 2018, I started to have more and more of Crohn's, showing my nerve pain and my eyes see what pain really is. And then went to the doctor, found out my colon wasn't working anymore. So it was either gonna be me or my colon. Since my colon can't make any decisions, I decided to get rid of it. Yes, I don't have a colon. Last February, I had surgery and I had my entire colon removed. My colon was in such bad shape. My surgeon said, by this time I changed hospital. The surgeon said that for the first time in her life, pathology called and wanted to know what was going on with the patient, because they had never seen a colon in that condition, and that this patient must have been in pain. But I was in pain. I'm a year and change without a colon. It's difficult, but it's what it is. If you know someone that has any autoimmune disease, know that life is not easy for them. What I've learned is when people are sick for a short time, we kind of expect that and we expect them to get better, right? But when people are chronically ill, a lot of times we can't sympathize with them. A lot of times what we hear as people who are chronically ill is, "You in the hospital again?" Yes, I'm in the hospital again. Don't you think I feel that way? After all, I am the one in the hospital. Or my cousin, uncle, brother, sister, godchild, auntie, sister, daughter ate 3 root barks and that cured them. Please stop telling us that. It's annoying. Listen, I don't have a colon. If there was something that could cure Crohn's, trust and believe me and the over 1 million people that has Crohn's disease, we would have taken it gladly. I lost my father in 2018, the night before my dad died. And the irony of this is never lost on me. I didn't know my dad was in the hospital. We were estranged. The night before he died, my Crohn's pain was so bad and non-responsive to I was praying to die. If Cerasee could cure Crohn's, I would be swallowing that down. We don't have Crohn's disease because we're not eating right. What we eat can affect Crohn's, especially if we're in a flare-up, because the way we digest stuff is different than normal people. We don't have Crohn's because we ate something. What may be healthy for you, for example, a salad, not for me, can't digest it. And so as I started to say, if you know someone, if there's someone in your family or someone that you know that has chronic illness, try to put yourself in their position and know that every day is a struggle. Every day is a struggle. People like to say to me, I don't know how you do it. I don't know that I have a choice. I don't allow the pain from nerve damage, IC, Crohn's, whichever one of them, feel like today is the day when they want to torment me. I could choose to let them win every day, or on the days when they are at the level to where I can't, I can stop and rest. And on the days when I am winning, I could keep it pushing. I can do that. I find it easier to do that because I have a support system. I have a husband that is supportive. I have a husband that is with me for everything. I have a husband that is there for every procedure until they tell him he has to leave. I have a husband who is the last face I see before surgery and the first face I see after. I have a sister in the States who I will put out of her room if I'm over there, who checks up on me. I have a sister over here who will tell her boss if I call, I gotta go because my sister is sick. And if you want to fire me, then go right ahead, but I go on by. Without that, it makes it harder. No one has, my next door neighbor is renovating. I'm trying to put some music in the background so you don't hear the noise, but if you hear anything, that's them. If you tried to just walk 1 week in our shoes, you would see just how difficult every day is. We're not over exaggerating. I remember when I would read about chronic pain patients' stories, and I would say, I can't imagine life like that. And the last time I was pain-free was September 11, 2012. That's the last time I was pain-free. I go to bed with it, I wake up with it. Varying degrees. I've had the most invasive, intrusive procedures done. Remember I said Crohn's disease is in the digestive tract, anywhere from the mouth down. In 3% of people with Crohn's disease, it can come outside of the digestive wall, and I'm in that 3%. My Crohn's disease could show up anywhere now, my heart, my liver, my lungs, anywhere. Pretty much wherever it feels like. Life with an autoimmune disease is very difficult. I hate autoimmune disease classifications because I feel like it's the lazy way out. Oh, you have an autoimmune disease. Sorry. The most we could do is give you some Readmitted, Humira, one of them. They advertise them like candy. They cost thousands of dollars. On average, they cost without insurance $60,000 a year. My copay every month is over $1,000. Like I said, my body really loves me. And high maintenance. And the thing about Crohn's and a lot of autoimmune diseases that they're invisible. I'll insert some pictures of me when I was at my sickest. Well, some when I was really sick, and then some when it was visible that I was sick. And I remember posting some of those photos on Facebook, and I got nothing but compliments because Crohn's don't always make you look like you're sick. You look healthy, and so people are looking at you like, I remember to get my own mom to realize how sick I was, I had to actually show her my colonoscopy to get her to understand that whilst I may look good on the outside, because she would be like, oh, you look good, but on the inside I'm dying. And that's one of our frustrations, is the fact that people look at us and they think because of how we look, we're fine. when we might have been up all night the night before. We might have been up all night in pain. We might very well be in pain as we're speaking to them, but we look good. Looks can be deceiving. I'm going to leave some links down below where you can find more information about Crohn's, and I encourage you to read that information. There may be someone in your life that has Crohn's disease and you don't know, or you don't know what they're going through. You don't understand why they're always in bed. You don't understand why they're in the hospital again. I really hate that one. When I tell you Crohn's is a miserable disease, it is a miserable disease. And Crohn's does not discriminate when it comes down to who its next victim is. Crohn's does not care if you are male, female, white, black, Hispanic. It does not care. It does not care if you are rich, poor. It does not care. It does not care how old you are. Whilst typically Crohn's does strike at around 15 to 25, you can get diagnosed at any time. It's hard to diagnose. Taking 10 years to be diagnosed, that's typical. There are people who've gone longer. And we hope now with modern technology, hopefully there'll be a breakthrough. I wanted to share this information with you. I wanted to bring awareness to the disease, and so that you can get a better understanding of what my life is like. And I also wanted, if someone is going through any kind of illness, for this story to inspire them. I truly try my best not to let Crohn's dictate my life. I graduated from college. I have a master's degree. I have a CPA. I'm back in school. I've tried my best to live my life as normal as possible. Yes, there are times that I'll have to be like, okay, Crohn's, you won the battle today, but you're not gonna win the war. I accepted finally, with the help of my therapist, that because of the progression of my Crohn's, I can't push my body as much as I used to push it. I had to come to that realization that Bernadette is gone within the limits of this Bernadette. I try my best to not let Crohn's dictate my every move. I also hope by sharing my story, I've helped others who have people in their orbit that are dealing with autoimmune disease, help you to understand the struggle that they go through, the struggles that they're experiencing, especially if they're dealing with a painful disease. I can assure you, living with pain day in and day out is not easy. It isn't. And if you are dealing with a doctor who does not believe you, who tells you you're crazy, you are not crazy, find a doctor who believes you. I'm so grateful to Jehovah every day for my pain management doctor. I wouldn't change him for the world. My prayer really is that every chronic pain patient can find themselves a doctor working. Because on top of everything, the last thing you need is a doctor who, when his cool gadgets don't work, tells you that you're crazy. Because that in itself is enough to make you be crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about Crohn's, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until my next video, bye.